Hello, welcome to another Cook the World with us. Today we are doing an Egyptian recipe called koshari. Koshari is an Egyptian street food that has a mix of chickpeas and lentils and rice and pasta, and then is topped with a tomato sauce. And a lot of people also do a cumin sauce, which we're going to be doing today, and then it's topped with crispy fried onions. So we have tried to make this as easy and straightforward as possible for a weekday meal and to be able to make with kids. So we have taken a couple of little shortcuts. So we decided to do canned chickpeas instead of dried chickpeas, just to save on a little bit of time. We already have some cooked brown lentils, and we have our white rice cooked in advance as well, which is right there. And then instead of frying our own crispy onions, we decided to just buy some crispy onions to make things a little bit easier. So we just put in our pasta to boil. So while that is cooking, we are using some elbow macaroni for our pasta today. So while that is cooking, we're gonna make our tomato sauce. So we have our onion here. Pinky is gonna go ahead and peel that onion, and then Bear is gonna grate it for us to start up our tomato sauce. So while they are working on the onion, I'm just gonna put a little bit of oil in our pan to start cooking that onion. Okay, Bear, do you wanna start grating that onion? So we're just using a cheese grater here. So we're gonna grate that onion on there. We're gonna only do about half of it. So while he is doing that, I am just gonna pour in some oil to our pan. There we go. And then here's our oil, pour that in. And then I'm gonna I put in about a tablespoon of oil or so. And then I'm also going to add in, I believe it said about 4 cloves of garlic. So I have this pre-chopped garlic, which makes things a lot easier. So I'm gonna put in maybe about a tablespoon of chopped garlic in there to cook. So that is starting out. Bear is grating our onion. And then when the garlic gets fragrant, when it starts to smell kind of good, then we'll add in our onion as well to cook with it. And then we are gonna add in a few other spices into our tomato sauce as well. So we're just gonna add a pinch of crushed red pepper and some coriander. So those are both spices that we have on hand pretty commonly, and hopefully you do too. So we are going to put those in to toast for just a few minutes, and then we will add in our tomato sauce. So for tomato sauce, normally you would use a can of plain tomato sauce. Turns out we used our can of plain tomato sauce earlier in the week for something without realizing it. So we just have some pasta sauce on hand. So that is what we are using, because this is all about improvising, and that's the great thing about cooking from pantry staples. You can see if you have a substitute, or if there's something else that you can add in to make up for what you don't have. Okay, that's probably good for our onion. So we are gonna dump that in here with our garlic. Scoop that out. All right. We'll scoop all this in too. And we are just gonna let that cook for a minute. And then while this tomato sauce is cooking, we're gonna go ahead and start to assemble our platter. So Bear and Pinky, maybe each of you could take either the chickpeas or the lentils. And then we are going to pour some on the platter. So we're just gonna make it in nice little rows, kind of like you would arrange a Cobb salad. That's how we're gonna arrange it. So let's put this over on this side. Put our chickpeas there, and it'll hold better once we have all the stuff on. So the fun thing about koshari is that since it's street food, it can kind of be to your taste and preference. It's not a fancy food that requires a lot of specifics to it. You can kind of adjust it to your taste, which is kind of fun. Okay, Pinky, do you want to put the lentils in? Okay. Let's go ahead and dump those out. Scoop these in here. And then this way this is also a fun meal with kids because everyone can assemble their own. So they can add more or less of what they like and adjust it to their preference, which is always fun with kids. Okay, so we have our lentils and our chickpeas on there. And then let's add some rice also. So we have our rice that we cooked in advance. So we're just gonna add on. And then Bear, could you grab me that little, oh perfect. Okay, so the pasta should be done. And if one of you could turn off the stove where the pasta is cooking, that'd be great. We are actually gonna, let's drain the pasta first before we get that. So, yep, we can use this drainer. And I will drain this since it's pretty hot. So we wanna make sure to drain the pasta right away. I drain the pasta, I'm just going to rinse it in some cool water to stop the cooking. Okay, and Pinky, could you grab that little pot over there? Perfect, and you can put that on the stove. And Bear, if you want to carry this over, and carefully pour it. And carefully pour it on the platter. All right, so I'm just moving around our onion and garlic a little bit so it doesn't burn. We'll let that toast a little bit more. And then, thank you for pouring that out. We have some extra pasta there. And then, while our tomato sauce is cooking, that's okay, we'll leave that there. While our tomato sauce is cooking, we are gonna make our garlic sauce. All right, thank you guys. So now we are gonna make our cumin and garlic sauce while our tomato sauce is cooking, now that we have all this assembled. So for that, we are gonna start by putting a little bit of oil in the pot. So do one of you guys wanna do that? Grab the oil from under here. There, maybe you can reach over. So just a little bit.
We're done with it.
About a tablespoon of oil. Thank you. There you go. So we have our oil in there. And then now we are gonna add in some garlic and cumin. But first we're gonna let the garlic toast a little. So I should have kept my garlic spoon. Thank you for stirring that, Bear. So we are gonna put in about a teaspoon of this crushed garlic. Pinky, do you wanna put this in there? In that one over there, yep. Great. So there's our garlic. And we're gonna add in our cumin. So we have our cumin here. We're putting in a tablespoon of cumin. Okay, so we're gonna let that toast for a few minutes. And then after it's toasted, we'll add in some water and some vinegar. Okay, now our garlic and our onion for the tomato sauce looks like it's pretty toasty now. So we're gonna add in just a pinch of crushed red pepper. Pinky, do you wanna add in a pinch? Just a little bit. You can just pour in a tiny bit. Okay, great. And you can adjust that to your taste. All right, so we added in our tablespoon of cumin and our garlic into our garlic sauce. So while that is cooking, we are also adding in our coriander into the tomato sauce. About a teaspoon of that. And then we are going to pour in our tomato sauce. Bear, would you like to pour that in?
How much?
The whole thing. So we're doing a 28-ounce jar of tomato sauce. So we're mixing up with our onion and garlic.
And coriander.
And coriander, exactly.
And olive oil.
So we're gonna let that all simmer for a little bit, just until it's pretty thick. And then that'll be a nice topping for our koshari.
Plus the onions.
Exactly. We'll mix it all together. If you want to give that a little stir, that'd be great. And let's mix up our garlic sauce. Do you guys smell that?
Yeah.
It's starting to smell super good. It's also getting pretty thick now. So I think we can add in a 1/4 cup of water and a 1/4 cup of vinegar. Okay? So in fact, I already got out a measuring cup right here. There, I got out a measuring cup right here. So Pinky, would you like to pour in a 1/4 cup of vinegar into here? So here's our 1/4 cup line right there. Perfect. And then we're gonna put some water right in that same cup. And we'll pour all of that into our garlic sauce, or garlic cumin, our garlic cumin sauce. Forgetting which spices are where. And we'll just let that cook for a few minutes. So this one won't be totally, it might separate a little bit. You might see some of the garlic and the cumin settling on the bottom, and that's totally okay. You can just give it a stir before you serve to drizzle it on top. Okay, and our tomato sauce is looking pretty thick and yummy now too. So I'll just give you a peek at that. So we're gonna go ahead and turn that off. And then we already have all of this assembled. And then to serve it, we are just going to let everyone drizzle on their own tomato sauce and their own garlic sauce and their crispy onions, and then we're done. So I will link to the recipes that we use. There are 2 different ones that I referenced in making this. So I will share those recipes with you. Both are Egyptian themselves, and so it was fun to hear how their families would eat koshari and hear their kind of cultural traditions. So I will share those with you. And then I will share a picture at the end of the finished product after everyone has assembled their meals. Thank you guys for joining us for our Cook the World with us. We hope you enjoyed this Egyptian koshari.